Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high must leave the court immediately.
1, 2, 3, 42.
Today's rule is Rule 31. Use your voice for good.
Thank you, Jana. Welcome to Rule 42. And fucking Tommy just kicked himself out.
It's one of those days. I feel like I couldn't get the link. I don't know what's going on today.
This is the rabbit hole for Wednesday.
It's
And we
technical
go down.
difficulties.
Sometimes things work, sometimes things no. Oh, look, Tommy's joined us back.
And he's back.
So that is not normal. Tommy
I-
doesn't typically just disappear.
Yeah, that was weird.
He stays there in his little box.
Yes, and now I'm going to be quiet in this box, and hopefully it doesn't kick me out as I mute myself. So let's see.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
All right, we're good. Jana, welcome to Rule 42. I am Audrey.
I'm Jen. Very nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And obviously you have met our silent little partner there, Tommy, in his little box. All right, so Jana, we'd love to hear more about you and kind of where you started and where you ended up where you are now, how you ended up where you are now. Because a lot of people kind of just want to know, all right, well, how do you get where you are now? No, we need to know what created you to get where you are.
Are you talking about as an author, as an artist, as a person in the world?
As a person that influenced your ability, like your drive to then become an artist, to then become an author. Because I think right now my thing is I have a lot of teenagers and they're questioning everything and they don't realize how much of their current journey is a part of where they're going to end up.
Yeah.
So I feel like speaking to successful women and that have had a journey and then ended up in places that they love and are inspired by is a great way for them to learn as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that it has been a journey, and I'm still on it, but I am currently in a place of, content and happiness and my career and all my side gigs. And that's what I think it's important to, just follow your heart pretty much. I did not do it immediately in college, and I was always I call it a closet artist because I was interested in art. I would draw, I would copy things, but I would put it away and not really show anybody. I did, if I was in a camp situation or an elective situation, I would always pick the creative outlet. My father is a coach, so, I did enjoy sports, but I wasn't an athlete per se. So, I always veered towards the artistic things in my life. And then it kind of continued. And then I went to college, I went to UCSB, and again, for the electives and my things that weren't part of my major, but I needed some extra classes, I took some art classes and I just kind of fell in love with it and took as many as I could. And again, my major was communication studies because I don't think my dad and mom would have paid for me to be an art studio major. That's part of the stigma.
I interject there for a moment. Do you feel, in terms of where you are now, that your major so I have a very creative child, and she doesn't want to go into art because everyone has told her that majoring in art is pointless. But she's very creative and wants to go into the art industry. So
I think that's wise. I mean, you could always do the arts on your own. Like that's kind of what I did. I stretched my own canvas in college and I took courses that I would not have done. But in the end, my degree was communication studies. So, and back then it was, very liberal arts. It wasn't technology. It was human communication, person to person and things like that. And I mean, I would just tell, any up and coming creative that the more sales experience and marketing classes you can take, that's what you need. Is you have to be able to sell yourself no matter what, and your art as well. So there's a lot of artists in the world who, don't really want to do that. But I actually went on and got my master's degree in between. So anyway, I did my thing in college, and then I had an opportunity to travel abroad for my junior year, and I fell in love with traveling. And
Where'd you go?
Okay, I went to Israel actually.
Oh,
Yeah, and it was back then you had to go for the whole year, and it was the most amazing experience. And from there, I could take a 24-hour bus to Egypt and had an amazing experience there. For spring break, I hopped on a really inexpensive plane and went to Kenya.
What?
oh wow.
Yeah, it was so fabulous. And what I sketched my way through the world. You know, I brought my sketch pad, my watercolors, and that's the way you see things, and that's the way you grow is to travel. And then on the way home, I couldn't come. I was a junior, so I couldn't stay abroad. I had to come home to graduate, unfortunately. But I didn't go straight home. I went through Europe on the way home. You know, I had to took a boat over to Greece and Italy and up to.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I traveled a lot before I was 21, and then I came home to tiny Santa Barbara University, and I was like, this town is way too small. So I graduated, and then I moved on to Hollywood. I got a job in Peterson Publishing. I worked for a Hot Rod magazine, and I lived on Hollywood Boulevard. So that was an amazing journey shift from a tiny coastal town to the big city. And then I just kind of progressed. My girlfriends asked me if I still wanted to travel after that, and I said sure. So then after 1 year working, we quit our jobs. We got our 2-week Hollywood pay, or whatever you call it, holiday pay. We stopped paying car insurance. We got our apartment and security deposits back, and we took off for Southeast Asia.
Oh wow. That's amazing.
Cool.
So again, I just went, I sat in a hut in Bali and painted with some folks, and I learned batik in Jakarta, and I tried to do art wherever I went, and that's how I snuck it into my passion and my life of traveling. So anyway, then I eventually had to come home, and then I decided to go back to graduate school, and I got my degree in arts administration. So I have my master's in the business of art. So again, I didn't feel the need to paint every day and paint my own world. I got my degree so that I could help other people forward their art and work in museums or galleries or whichever. I've done that kind of ever since in the nonprofit world and wove it into the arts. But I was always a visual artist, and I was a journal writer. And so when it came to having this traumatic experience in my life and needing a grief outlet, someone suggested that I write a book. And I'm like,
Okay.
I
was going to ask whether or not your venture into becoming a writer had anything to do with the tragedy, or so that's what drove your need to write.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I do know my story. I share my story.
It was a big story, so yes. But that's part of why it's so important to get to know the person, because you're not just your story, and you're not what happened. You are so many more things than that. You had a story prior to that. You were a person prior to what happened. So I wanted to get to know, and I wanted everyone else to get to know you and where you were going in your life and what path you were on before this started to happen. So since it happened before you became an author, do you mind discussing your story?
Oh, no, of course. So that's part of the healing and part of the opportunity to tell my story, both, verbally and on paper. So again, fast forward all these years that I'm working in the nonprofits. I'm back living in Santa Barbara. My husband went to grad school here, and we ended up staying. So I got to leave Hollywood, which was fine because it was only a short stint. And I am back here in Santa Barbara, married with 3 kids, living and doing, the thing. And it was actually my wedding anniversary. I was out celebrating a family event, and I came home at midnight and got a call from my sister, which was kind of rare. Well, it was my sister calling me, especially at midnight. And she called to let me know that my mom was hit in the head by a foul ball at Dodger Stadium, and is now recovering from brain surgery in ICU. And like you, I was sat in silence. I was like, wait, what are you telling me? You're not calling to wish me happy anniversary, or what in the world? So that was pretty traumatic to hear, that she went to the ball game and never came home, kind of thing. And so it was all pretty shocking, and it all was pretty crazy. And she actually died 3 days later from brain hemorrhage. The blood just kept going and going, and there was nothing that could stop it. And the coroner's death certificate is blunt head injury, death by blunt head injury. And that was kind of traumatic as well, because when you're hit in the head in Los Angeles, you can't go straight to the morgue or the mortuary, or the process to start your burial. You have to go to the professional coroner's office in Los Angeles. That was very strange kind of thing, especially for we're Jewish, and usually you bury your dead right away. Yes. So we had to keep waiting and keep waiting and keep waiting. Is she on the list yet? Is she moved up the list? It was so bizarre, but it didn't make it official, and that was very strange. So the whole thing was kind of, my dad was at the game with her. And of all the games, it was kind of miraculous that instead of his best friends for 50 years, who used to, they have a packed tickets of 4, they go to every 10th game and they're there all the time. Instead of going with their best friend, his best friend's wife was, had a headache or something. He actually had his brother and sister-in-law there at the game with them. One game out of the whole entire year, his brother and sister-in-law was there with him to experience this, and to eventually drive his car to the hospital and sit with them in ICU. So there was all these kind of miraculous things happening around it. And so my dad pretty much said, this was meant to be. It was horrific. It was a lottery ticket of hell. 1 out of 40,000 people at the ball game that night found my mom. But he accepted it as fate and something that was meant to be. And thankfully it was a short end, wasn't drawn out for months and months. And so we all kind of adopted that, feeling, okay, this was her time, and this was shocking. Wasn't until, I started telling people the story that it came to me that this is pretty unique and bizarre and should be known in the world. Like, she wasn't sick. So when people would see me I hadn't seen for a while, or, hey, how are you? How's your family? How's your mom? I'm like, oh, yeah, my mom just died. She got hit by a foul ball and she passed away. And their mouth just drops open. And the first thing they would say is, wait, what? How come I didn't hear about this? And second, what did the Dodgers do for you? Those are the two questions that kept coming up. And I'm like, started to decide that, what? Why doesn't the world know this story? Why isn't it in the news? So after a period of grieving and going through the motions and, putting her, away, where it started to dawn on me that this should be in the news. And this was 2018 when your beloved Dodgers were in the pennant race. And again, thankfully they lost to Boston, and hopefully this year they will lose to the Mets. And and anyways, so it was like Dodgers in the news. Good, everybody's go Dodgers, go Dodgers. And me and my family are like, the Dodgers suck. I don't know. It really wasn't the Dodgers. It was, and my dad said it nicely, it's not the players. It was the stadium and the owners and the organization. So, yes. And again, this is just full circle because I don't know how much time we have, but I'm like, I ended up telling my story to the ESPN. ESPN shared the story. I got bombarded by news reporters. Then I became telling my story every hour, practically every day. I was telling my story. And then I wasn't, crying anymore. I was getting a little desensitized by sharing my story. So it wasn't until like a year after that I was in, someone suggested that I write the story down, because then I could really start to grieve. And that was when the writing happened. That's when the creativity happened. That's when I could, kind of unload all of the memories of my mom and the story that unfolded, and my embarking on the advocacy program is because by letting the pressed in on this story, then they were like, whoa, something needs to be done. And then they were hyper vigilant on catching all of the injuries that were happening. There's mega injuries that happen every year. And my mom's was, they did not catch it on camera. It was high behind the net. They moved on to the next pitch. But I don't know if you guys remember, there was actually players who fell to their knees because they could visually see their ball hitting a young child and the third baseline. I mean, they could see their ball hitting it, and so it was like the game was stopped, and there was like, it became too awkward for MLB to do nothing because they were catching it on TV and people knew my story of a death, and now they're visually seeing all the injuries happen. So forward, again, MLB decided it was too awkward not to make a change, and they decided to mandate the nettings going all the way to the foul poles, and in the Dodgers case, higher behind home plate. So I actually did some good, using my voice for good, speaking out. A tragedy in my life, actually something good happened in return. My mom's death was not in vain. So that's the story in a nutshell. Like, use your voice for good, stand up for what you believe in, and in my case, write it down and share it. And now on podcasts, share it that way too.
Absolutely, especially with technology the way that it is now. And it's so interesting that it took so long for the industry to address it in this manner, to the extent with the netting, because I'm not like a brand new sports person. I've watched sports since I was a child, and I remember when Chuck Knobloch started to lose his arm on the Yankees, and he ended up throwing a wild throw at first and missed and ended up hitting a woman in the face that was behind like first base. So God, and Knobloch was on the Yankees in like 2000. So to know that it's taken them this long to actually, it takes a death, and even beyond the death, it took technology growing and people starting to see what's going on and sharing it for anything to be done. And that's ridiculous. But it's also important to show people how strong a voice can be at a local level to make a change throughout an organization. Because that's what you did. You started locally and then it grew from there. And again, that's why it's so important to know your local stuff. Know who it is that you need to reach out to locally to get your voice heard.
Yep.
Well, I'll amend that a teeny bit because I think, I'm not sure if it was my brother-in-law or my brother-in-law. At the time, he was my sister's boyfriend, but he actually reached out. Well, while she was in the hospital, he reached out to the Dodgers, and that's pretty local. And, like nothing really got in the news. It took me 6 months later to Google an article on the web saying, how many people got injured? Have there been any deaths previously? And I connected with ESPN in New York. They were willing to share the story because it was not local.
That's awesome.
That's kind of what happened.
And you found the outlet that you needed in order to get it out there.
Did you speak with the Dodgers at all, or MLB, or did you just go to ESPN?
Yeah, the Dodgers knew. Yeah, we spoke with Dodgers a little bit, and it's in my book. But it wasn't about the news. It was more about, again, people ask, what can they do for us? It became too awkward for them not to talk to us. And there is something called the baseball law, which protects all of MLB from any, lawsuits or injuries. Enter at your own risk is the back of the ticket says, such like that. So, everyone was like, you got to sue the Dodgers. And we're like, no, you can't. It's a waste of money, time, and energy. But it was, I just wanted to say, it was, again, another miraculous kind of thing that's in my book, that my mom was not the first death at Dodger Stadium. So 1970, a 14-year-old boy named Alan Fish was beaten by Manny Mota and died. So talk about, that story is in the news. I mean, I found it online, but no one really ever knew that. And they didn't do anything back then. So that's the hideous part. It's kind of like big tobacco, I would say. They're selling us, cigarettes. And in the 50s, they knew they were bad for you, but they sold them anyway. And now they're finally saying there's a warning. But again, this boy died in 1970 and they knew it. and right by, and so they still didn't do anything. So again, it just takes bigger voices and heartache, and like you said, technology and the cameras and stuff like that. But so the title of my book is Sit Behind the Net. I know, again, because of technology, a lot of people aren't readers anymore. So like, even if you don't read the book, the title alone says it all. Buy your ticket, support your favorite team, go to the Yankees game, enjoy Audrey, but look at the inventory and buy your ticket behind the netting and keep your family safe.
I do actually sit behind the netting.
Yay.
And anytime I hear any crack, I everyone around me is going like this, and I'm the one, if you're ever looking, I'm the one like this. Because I'm so scared of getting hit by anything. I see how fast these balls get hit. Guys, I see how fast they read off of the bats. I see how fast these hockey pucks go. I've seen a guy's face get smushed by a basketball. No, thank you.
Exactly. So I'm proud of you. A lot of people, are hecklers out there, and they're like, oh, we want to be able to catch the balls and this and that. And there's no catching this ball, those 90-mile cracks, of those foul balls. And the home runs are a different story. You're, 400 feet away. It has time for it to come down. But the foul balls are not catchable.
But that's Jana's point, is about the reaction time. Audrey, you sit close. Your foul ball is coming at you like a laser beam. Home run, you have plenty of time to get under it. And having caught one in 2003, I know what that's like. But foul ball, you have you can't react. Human beings can't react that fast. And I'm just kind of shocked that it took, because your mom was hit in 2018. Is that correct?
Yeah.
In 2002, there was that 13-year-old girl at the hockey game in Columbus that was hit with the puck and killed. And they put nets up almost immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm shocked that baseball didn't take a cue from hockey and say, you know what, this is dangerous. And, we want our fans to enjoy the game, because you want to go to a game, you have fun. And that leads me to another question. Do you hate the Dodgers now, or have you come to peace? So some sort of peace. I know your parents were huge fans of the Dodgers.
She wanted them to beat the Mets.
They wanted them to lose to the Mets.
No, lose. She said she wanted them to lose.
Oh,
I did lose that. And there's a reason for that. No, my dad and my sister, my brothers, they watch it on TV. They still have their Dodgers. They don't go to the stadium ever again. But I do not like the Dodgers. And in my book, it was during COVID that I wrote the book. So that was kind of another blessing. I had the time to sit and write. But we connected with Harrison Bader, who was a Cardinal at the time. My family and my husband are Cardinal fans. So I follow Harrison Bader, and he's a Met. So I'm voting for the Met.
He's a New Yorker. He was on the Yankees last year.
Oh, yeah. He was on the Yankees last year. He's from New York. So I'm following him. And he was just a really great guy that did a Zoom call with my son on his 18th birthday. And because it was COVID, and it was really amazing.
Some of these players are absolute gems of society. They take their positions and they promote themselves and actually experience what their fans are. And my daughter went to a game on her birthday, to a Jets game, and when she came out, I don't think I've ever seen so many players stop because she's just running up to them and she's like, "Can I have your autograph?" And they did, and there wasn't this feeling of malicious, ugh, get away from me. It was, you could see that they appreciated these kids, and they presented themselves in a way that these kids can look up to them. So it's so important.
That's what I say. I mean, don't diss the players. They shouldn't have to go to work thinking they're going to hurt someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have that stress off of them. The netting should be there for the players, let alone the fans, and I agree with you. I don't know why it took so long. And again, it was not an expensive endeavor either. We had an advocate on my side who he Googled it. He was offering to pay. He lives in New York. He offered both New York baseball league teams. He would pay the $50,000 and the 4 days it took to install the netting. That's it. That's all that it really took. 4 days and $50,000. And they did not say yes.
That's crazy.
Well,
Wow.
it's funny. You mentioned just before your mom got hit, there was a girl at Yankee Stadium. I think she was 4. she got hit with a line drive, and you see the players, they're crying. They stop the game, and the players have tears in their eyes, and they're just like, Todd Frazier, I think, was the guy who hit the ball, and he's weeping. So, like, they knew it was an issue, and like you said, the players, it's not their fault. They're just doing their job.
Doing their job.
And it's a multi-billion-dollar business, you know?
It's so sad. So again, it is, I don't know, it was very strange. And in the end, the commissioner said, well, every park is configured differently, so I can't put a blanket statement out, and everyone has to figure it out on their own, what's best for their stadium. But that has delayed and and again, MLB has stepped up. There is netting all the way to foul balls, etc. But minor league baseball is not finished yet. And those parks are smaller, and those are the exact same bodies with the exact same muscles hitting those exact same 100,000, balls. So that's part of my story is I'm not stopping. I'm talking with you guys to get the word out because MLB is not safe yet. Yeah, I mean, MILB, go to those games and those nettings are not up yet. And they're currently owned by the big corporation. So it's not a big expense. It's not a big to do.
But they farm their teams.
Yeah.
I know you can't say probably because of disclosure, but did you make a settlement with the Dodgers or baseball? Did you, they reach out to your family?
Okay, so that was part of my story is that, again, we were not allowed to sue. You're not allowed. It's a waste of time and money, and it's been proven over and over because I became part of a group on Facebook called the Group of Injured Players of Minor and Major League Baseball. And so this was a site for all to vent and to tell our stories. And there's people living with terrible injuries and paying very expensive bills daily for their brain injuries or their missing eye or their concussions. And not Dodgers, but MLB is doing nothing to help these people because it's an enter at your own risk. But I mentioned Alan Fish earlier, the boy that died in 1970. So this boy was 14 at the time. And fast forward, this 40 years, a friend of my sister's, who's currently a lawyer, was 14 and friends with that boy, Alan Fish. So he is a 50-year-old lawyer now. And he said, I don't care if we, obviously we're not going to win anything from the Dodgers, but I'm going to at least speak with them on your behalf because I knew Alan and now I'm hearing about your mom and this is incredible. So I talk about it in my book. It is a common story. We did get to go to the 40th floor of this very intimidating office and kind of have a mediation with the Dodgers. And it was very cold and yucky. And I talk about in the book that we were in separate rooms and the whole thing. And that's not really what we really were intending. We wanted to look them in the eye, and I wanted them to look us in the eye. And as people to people, say, I'm sorry for your mom. There's a longtime fan. Is there anything personally we can do to have closure for you all? We knew there wouldn't be any money. We knew there wouldn't be any, thing like that. But so it was very mysterious and very odd. But at least that lawyer put us in the same building with them.
Did they ever apologize at all? Anything?
Well, we at the end of the 4 hours, or this going back and forth and sharing our story and this kind of thing, we said, can't they just walk over to this room? Like, why does the mediator have to go back and forth? Can't we just look at So they did finally enter a room and look us in the eye, or kind of, and say, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss. It was kind of like a rote. They did it, but it didn't feel
It wasn't genuine because sometimes I feel like you need to acknowledge what happened. That's the problem.
Suit of armor on, correct? They were big suits, and they couldn't really break through that, and that was pretty heartbreaking. I mean, I just kind of want to put a little plaque on her chair, maybe, in memory.
Just acknowledge that she was there and something happened to her, and
on the Juggler Solomon, in memory of longtime fan ago, but they did not want to bring attention to it.
And I feel so terrible for your father as a lifelong fan. And then his wife for 50 years dies at a game doing something they love. And there's no...
I know now you must have a bittersweet love for the Dodgers, but I love and hate them at the same time.
No, your dad. Does he?
Yeah, my dad still watches the game because, like I said, he's all about the players and the sport and the love of the baseball game. The major corporation and the stadium and all that, he's, a ticket money anymore kind of thing. Plus, he's now 91. but I have to say, he has not faltered in going to the UCLA football games. He still goes to the Rose Bowl every weekend at 91 and has the tailgate party. So it's not about mobility.
I love your father.
Yeah, it's not about mobility. It's about, the principle. I'm not going to Dodger Stadium,
Right.
I want to go.
So I didn't know either.
Or just going to be tailgating with your dad at UCLA, USC. Or
UCLA.
UCLA. All right, in Westwood. Okay, fine. Fair enough. Blue and gold.
Well, I think it's amazing everything that you've been doing, and I think it's very healing to talk about what happened, and I feel like that just for yourself is, I know for me, I went through some traumatic stuff, and talking about it is what really helped me kind of work through it and kind of get straight in my head, about all of that. But we'd love to know, where can we get your book and find out more information about you?
Oh, thank you, Jen. Yeah, so I have a website. It's just my name, Jana Brody, JanaBrody.com. But my book is on Amazon, and it's recently on audio. Very excited about that. Thanks, AI. So the book is in paperback and on audio at Amazon.com, wherever you find your books, also Barnes & Noble. And I would love for you guys to check it out and send me an email, let me know what you thought about it. And because, again, it's not just for baseball fans. It's also like a human interest story, talking about my mom and just the whole process of, using your voice for good and telling your story. So there is even a chapter in the end about my daughter living in New York and going to a play called Take Me Out, and her experience of that, that was about a play about a ball player getting died by getting hit by a ball. So it's all.
Did you know that going in?
She didn't. She might have. I don't know if she knew it. She just knew that two of her favorite actors were in it. But it actually went.
Oh wow!
In that, I think it was 2020, but it's called Take Me Out. You have to check it out. But the story kept popping out everywhere, and again, I would love for you guys to check it out. And again, during this, pennant race and the whole World Series, go support, but just buy your ticket and sit behind the nets and be safe. And this shouldn't happen to anybody ever again.
Sit behind the nets, which is the name of the book.
Correct. The name of the book. Sit behind the net.
Well, thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you. We enjoyed listening to your story and all the wonderful things that you're doing.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, guys. It's fun to meet you guys across the nation and just, share the story.
Definitely. We look forward to having your story spread even wider. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Rule 42.
Wow.
42.
1, 2, 3, 42.
So that's super unfortunate, and it's so sad. And I actually remember being a kid watching games and people getting hurt all the time.
Yeah.
But to add to that Yankee game last night, I was sick. I couldn't go to sleep after it, though, because I was so wired.
It's topical because the Dodgers are still playing, and they might be playing the Yankees in the World Series. It's pretty cool. The Mets are there, too. But
yeah, the Mets have been doing good, too.
Oh, I want a Subway Series.
yeah, you're a few games away from that happening. So let's see. It could be crazy.
That would be awesome.
To win the fucking Stanley Cup there. I want the fucking Knicks to make it to the playoffs at least.
What?
That's why I see Audrey. That's why I love Audrey.
All good things.
She's as big a sports fan as I am, and that's
And I want them to make Aaron Rodgers a fucking coach already.
Oh boy, that's a different.
No,
That's an issue. But one thing she mentioned about I'm really impressed by her dad still being 91 and tailgating and enjoying the Dodgers, not being bitter and hating them. But it's so, you guys have been to games, and Audrey, I know you sit close at the Yankee games. I remember taking the girls to a minor league game, and I was with Christina. I was like, we're too close. This is really dangerous. This is before the Nets.
Yeah.
And I remember standing the whole game, basically like trying to block them, and she's like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Like, if a foul ball comes, we're in trouble." And so I'm there like this fucking maniac, just kind of like trying to be as big as possible.
Shield.
Exactly.
That realizes and recognizes other parts of the picture that other people aren't seeing, like how fast that ball gets hit, how fast that ball is going at them.
Yep.
So how all it takes is for the sun to shine in one direction. You lose sight of the ball, and all of a sudden it's hitting you dead in your face. Like, there's so many other components that people don't realize. And in their mind, it's like, what is your problem? Yeah, my problem is logic dictates that we're in danger.
I like my face and it not matched.
That Spidey sense. Spidey sense was tingling. But
danger zone.
and you think about how incredibly close it could be, because I just go back to like Trump getting shot. Like if he turned his head just like a centimeter, his head's blown off.
Yeah.
So it's, a baseball, it could kill and has killed. I'm sorry.
Hard.
Yeah.
Like,
They're really hard.
Going fast enough, that's going to hurt.
I remember when Knobloch hit that lady.
Well,
They tore him up.
You're a big fan of his, but he couldn't throw for like 2 years. He was throwing the ball and sailing the ball.
He was going through a lot. His dad had Alzheimer's. He's going through like a divorce. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, fair enough. They were having a good time too. So
they taught him to just underhand it.
Really, they stuck him in left field. He couldn't throw from second base. There's a thing for that. They call it the yips. Like you forget how to do something you've done your whole life. It happens to golfers and baseball players and basketball players. So they just forget. And he forgot how to throw, which is bizarre. It's like 20 feet, and he couldn't do it.
Dude, but like when I say missing, like fucking, it's like, whoa, who are you throwing it to, bro?
He was throwing the ball 10 rows back in the day. Yeah, and it was only a 10-foot throw. It was crazy, and it was meant. It shows you like the power of the brain, you know.
Yeah, and he would literally. They got to the point where they were running over, and he would have to toss it.
Yeah,
underhanded.
It was really sad to see. The poor guy. He's a professional athlete, getting all this money, and he's running, and he's just like, yeah. Like he's throwing an egg to.
Be like, just come and take it. If you can just hold that up, be like, here, guys, just grab it from my hand.
Was it Happy Gilmore?
Oh God!
Just tapping in.
Just tapping in. Yes. But there's big sport fans. Big sports fans. They're making a new one right now. Actually, shooting in New Jersey.
I know. I love Adam Sandler. He's amazing.
And you guys are big sports fans. A big sports show. He what?
What?
Oh no! That on the Diddy list? And maybe who knows?
I hope not.
I don't think so. He doesn't seem like a Teddy person.
He went to NYU. He was there before I was. He's a little bit older, but he worked at the front desk at one of the dorms, and that was like his job at NYU.
Shut up.
Yep. Yeah.
Adam Sandler.
That's probably where he got all his sense of humor, and he was listening to all the stories coming out.
Maybe. Who knows?
He was sitting there writing all his comedy shows based off other people's lives.
You see some crazy shit in college. Anybody listening would know. You know,
all of his movies are based on someone from NYU.
I don't think so. But the great thing about him is all his movies, he uses the same people, which is really
his
cool.
friends. He's awesome.
And that's like, if you're able to be successful and bring your friends with you and have that tribe, that's awesome. So good for him on that.
Go Adam.
We support Adam Sandler.
We were at Beetlejuice one time, and one of friend of a friend is like the house manager, and he's like, he comes over to us and he's like, it's so crazy tonight. Adam Sandler's here. And he was like sitting a few rows ahead of us, and I guess he was just watching the show with his kids. But then in the same show, there's a guy, he was a tourist. I'm not sure where he's from, but he fell asleep behind us, and he was snoring like during the show, like, why is the show going? People like,
sure it wasn't Jimmy.
Is he a snorer?
Yes. And he falls asleep and everything, so.
That I know. And speaking of Beetlejuice, so Molly got cast in a show at a local college here. She's going to be Lydia in Beetlejuice. Very excited.
I'm so excited to see
December, her. Yeah, December. Look, December.
Throw that up there.
All right, she's excited. And we're going to Rhode Island soon, too.
Rhode Island. Convention of some sort with 5 million people going, and we're going to die.
It's basically I think it's like the second biggest Comic-Con on the East Coast. The girls have been planning this for months and months. Audrey has a special VIP. You get like a safe zone ticket with that, right? You get to go hang out.
You can get like a different entrance, and there's like a lounge that like, or I don't know, you can get away from people. That's all. I want to be supportive, and I want to be there, and I love my kids, and I do want to see them experience these things. I just can't be in it. I tried a smaller one in Kalahari, and we walked into one of the spaces. So these conventions tend to be really big, and they will take up entire halls, but they're multiple halls filled with just whatever the convention's about or the people, on top of the people that are there. And we walked into one, and I made it about 5 steps in and started walking backwards. And both of my daughters, I feel bad about this, but my kids are so used to it that the minute they saw me backpedaling, they just turned around and walked out. And I'm like, no, you guys go do it. And they're like, no, we're fine. You're fine. There's areas that have less people. We'll go there. So I'm like, are you sure? I felt so bad, but like I was able to enjoy portions of it with them.
Well, it's
all that matters. At least you were there and you did it.
Yeah, I tried.
You showed up for them.
That's all that matters, is that you at least try. You don't have to
And I'm going to try with this one too.
Yeah, and it's odd when you walk in and there's like a 13-foot spider woman walking past you, and then a demon comes by with a big, knife. You're like, oh, this is weird, but it's also kind of cool. And we're going
all talk to each other like they know.
Yeah.
Friendliest people. They're all like
super nice.
And people like, so I watch our girls go through these things, and people like, is it okay if we take a picture of you, or can we take a picture with you? It's not, it's really cool. And they love it. And there's going to be a lot of people there from movies and TV and film and anime. And
yeah, we lost Mia for the last day.
Oh, did you?
We did. Mia got invited to a party on the 2nd. So I'm going to drop her off about midday through. And then she's going to stay over there. So
it's all good. We'll work it out. Our kids will have a great experience. The kids will, and it'll be cool to see.
Aubrey's all excited because that means that's one less costume she has to make.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes. If people have listening, know that Audrey's daughter Aubrey is really talented at making props and costumes and cosplay stuff. It's pretty incredible.
She's actually doing videos on her TikTok now of the transitions of when she starts a piece and what it looks like when she's finished. I mean, some of the stuff I actually thought she bought like that. And I was like, oh, cool. A white flat mask that it started with, and it becomes like a bear's mask.
I remember when she started doing that. That was like years ago when she started doing the white masks and painting them and stuff. That was pretty cool.
She still does them, and they look like fucking sculptures.
Does so good.
I am so like, holy shit. And she definitely didn't get that from me.
It's pretty impressive. And she'll come over to have like a 13-foot like sickle, and like she's like, I made this. But I took Thomas as a haunted house in our town, and the guy used to work for Macy's making props and sets, and now he does all this stuff. His house is incredible. It's all these dummies. But he talked to Thomas, and he was so cool with him. He's like, listen, I know you're into this. This is what you do. He goes, I learned everything I do from YouTube. And he said, I watch these videos, and he goes, and now his business is he does it for like Great Adventure and theme parks and makes all their props. And he's like, you can do this. So Aubrey can do this too. And yeah, you're giving hearts, and thumbs up keep popping up on your screen. What is that?
I know you like thumbs up when it was talking about like her mom dying or something. I was like, oh my god!
When I hide my heart like this, I was like, how is that? Oh my god,
it's bad.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, she's like, it was tragic. My mom passed, and all of a sudden it's like, oh.
Thumbs up.
You didn't mean it at all. I don't know why that, but Audrey just gives her a thumbs up bubble.
I crossed my arms over, so I guess it kind of looks like, I don't know. That was so.
It's just the first time
because I was like, how do you pop the
No,
bubble?
I think Jana knew it wasn't intentional. Your hands weren't even moving, so something just popped up.
Like, yeah, your mom died.
Apologies, but yeah, that was not. Yeah, like, oh no.
We're having technical difficulties today.
And that's like, like the last 2 or 3 guys haven't noticed Harry Styles, so I don't know if we've got to step up Harry Styles' game.
I have to put a light on him more.
Like,
I do have to put the light on.
I mean, maybe if we each have one, but a different person.
Yeah, there you go. We get like a whole band.
Like, I love how in the beginning it was like, who is that guy? Just
is their husband? My favorite was like, is your husband standing behind you smiling?
Someone got it. I forgot who right off the bat. Like 5 seconds ago, like, okay, what the hell is going on behind you? Like, okay. Yep.
No, then the other one with the Ron Jeremy. Is that Ron Jeremy?
It's amazing because I've seen it in person, and on the camera, it looks like a real dude just sitting with a creepy smile.
Harry.
There he is.
Now Harry can't go nowhere.
There he is. So anyway, yeah. So it was great to hear. It wasn't great to hear a story. It was great to hear that she was able to turn it into a positive because.
No, it was.
I can't. Anyone who can't see this right now, Audrey is cheering. She's doing cheerleading moves. Is that what that is?
Yes, thank you very much.
Cool. But yeah, we're all.
Oh, but it's because I heard about something else, but we can't talk about that.
Oh, okay. That's a tease. In the business, they call that a tease.
It is.
Done.
Can you share it with people, or is that going to be just for a later time or off?
No, I can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds will want to know. But in the meantime, it was great to hear her turn something that was tragic into something that was positive, where she advocated.
Helping other people now.
Yeah.
Other people are being saved by it, and they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah, people don't know, and we hit the line drive comes out screaming at you and hits the fence, the net, and you're like, oh, okay, it could have been life changing, or life ending.
Yeah, it's so scary.
So yeah. So again, I guess the lesson there is Audrey is all over the place right now.
I was trying to put my tongue ring back in. I think the hole closed already.
Happens.
Anyway.
I'm back.
Okay.
All right, guys.
So we're gonna lose Jen. Jen's gotta
It's been real. You
jump back.
go.
It's been so real.
It's been fun. I will see you guys later.
Bye, Dre.
Bye.
I still have to put my tongue ring in. I really think it closed, and that sucks because that means I have to get it done again.
Oh no, so that's gonna be painful.
Fourth time.
Is it painful?
It's just a swelling because of the scar tissue, because I keep on getting it done. I don't know how the fucking ball came out. It's awesome.
Does it get caught on food? Like, does it get? I'm just. Yeah.
I have to clean it.
All the time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's in your mouth, and
Did you make you talk like Mike Tyson? Not really, because your diction is very good. You have good diction.
I have good diction.
You have good diction.
It's dirty.
It does sound dirty. You elucidate very well, and with your diction.
I had a great education.
There you go. But yeah, it was sad, but also it's positive that she could turn it around and help people. Like you said, people don't even know that they're being helped. So it's awesome.
And that's all for Rule 42. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode, and hopefully everyone learned something. And that's a wrap for me, Tommy, and Jen. Peace out, peoples.
1, 2, 3, 42.
Rule 42 is hosted by Audrey Cruz and Jen Burke. It is produced and edited by Tom Smith. The opening song is Rule 42 by Eddie Carr. Rule 42's artwork was created by Aubrey Cruz. And I'm your announcer, Molly Smith. Thank you for listening to Rule 42. We hope you enjoyed the show. New episodes premiere every Thursday on all podcast platforms. Please subscribe, share the show, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple.